Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to the old school. I'm your host, the Rattleman Buck. As you guys can tell, we're going to be getting the gooseneck out. I got to get my skid steer up to the top half of the property. We're going to be selling that thing off. I'll go over the logistics of what we're going to be doing today in the episode. So let's get the intro through and right on to today's content. The saddest part about getting rid of this New Holland is if you guys remember or have been watching the old school series, you would know that we have had this skid steer since day one. I did not have a use for it for the longest time, but as you guys can also tell in the top right, we got $124,000 sitting there. We've been doing contract work of a bunch of baling sites around the area since there's a lot of baling, but with that, this skid steer is just not heavy enough to be lifting some of the bales that we're going to have to lift with the silage. And my 535 baler only gets bigger bales. By looking around on some of the local listings, I did come across a Bobcat 863. It's definitely nothing nice. It's been beat up, it's been used and abused, but it is a heavier class skid steer than this New Holland. I got mine all nice and cleaned up. Hopefully somebody will come around and take a bite on it. Just maybe a small little cattle farmer or a small rancher. Anybody that just needs something to scoot some stuff around the farm. I gotta grab the for sale sign out of the truck. We'll get on our way up to the other Bobcat, and we'll see you guys there in just a second. If you guys do like old school content and would love to see more, be sure to possibly like the video down below. Maybe even consider subscribing. We are on the race to 100,000 public subscribers by the end of this year. The contract work that we've been doing on this farm, we've gotten a lot of content through TikTok on our Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night streams. We've also showcased YouTube's side of the old school series on our Saturday streams, so if that interests you guys, consider following and checking out more content. Our secondary task of this week has to revolve around the 850 front wheel assist that I have. If you guys have seen this tractor, you know that that is not what those tractors looked like coming off the factory line in Moline, Illinois. However, I have slightly learned how to modify tractors in the modding department. So we're going to be restoring, quotation marks, restoring our 850 by putting a newer set of American style wheels on it. I got some brand new green paint, some brand new decals. We're going to tear that thing apart, make it look nice, and bring it back down and get the hay work started. It's usually my mower tractor, so I've had to cycle back and forth between my 1206 and the 3600 Ford, which we also got some new tires for. There is our 863 Bobcat that we're going to be talking about. I'm going to run inside, get this thing purchased off. I believe we had it listed for about $11,500. Not too shabby. It gets the point across. So I contacted the owner, Niall, about this 863. Said he really just, if I look in the back window, he has a new front loader. That's why he doesn't need the Bobcat anymore. But this is what he's had. He's had no problems with it besides regular service changes. Just looking to kind of get rid of it to make room as well as gain some money. He's got a big tear in the seat. Looks like on this one we do actually have climate control, so that's nice compared to our other one. This is like a mid to early 2000s, like 98 to 2002. Let's fire it up and see what it sounds like. Sounds sturdy. I don't see any hydraulic leaks. Controls feel nice. How's she handle? Pretty good if you ask me. I'll go talk to Niall, get this thing purchased off, and we'll be heading back on our way to the house. $11,000 out the door, we have a new skid steer, and Niall was a tough negotiator, did not budge at all, but apparently he says his brother Byron's worse. If that was how tough Niall was, I don't even want to know what Byron could do. To continue on with our contract work, if you guys could see on the map, blinking in that very bottom left corner is the 101. We have to go cut field 101, which is right down by the animal dealer. So conveniently, it's located next to where we actually have to drop off the bales, but it's quite a bit of a drive, especially for all of my equipment. So I've been going through fuel like a madman. I am going to be keeping my pallet forks though, because I don't want to get rid of those. I do have to head to Tractor Supply. I might send Corey down to Tractor Supply and pick up a bale spike. But apparently I'm getting yelled at because I'm using pallet forks on silage bales. I'm not a farmer, nor will I pretend to be, but I've heard that using those pallet forks are better on wet bales. I'm going to see if I can just pick up a cheap bale spike from Tractor Supply, just call it a day so everybody's happy. Enough jibber jabber though, here is the 850. I need to get all 4 tires off on this thing, put my new ones that I bought off of Marketplace a couple weeks ago. We're going to start investing this money we've been earning from contracts by putting it into the vehicles on the farm. I know we said we really wanted to keep this tractor beat up, old, but in order to really put the new wheels on, like you can't put brand new wheels on and then have the tractor look like it's been beat up and went through World War II again. I got a brand new air cleaner as well as a muffler for this tractor. It's going to look nice. Don't you worry. I am going to be taking off that trailer hitch that's on the back because we quite frankly don't ever have any trailers that we're ever going to use that with. I don't know about the next guy though. I'm excited to see what this thing is going to look like. We'll just start by getting some of the wheels off and then I'll hopefully be able to start replacing the parts that I got new. I'm also going to have to clean this thing off. If you guys haven't checked out the world's greatest farm soap, though, be sure to check out Andy of Andy Clean. Guy is fantastic, keeps all of my farms and real-life mowers as clean as a whistle. We just did a little Finding Nemo cameo with washing my GS45 in real life, but with the 850 cleaned off, I gotta head to the office because I know that's where I have the decals set. Should be in the closet. And yep, there they are. I'm going to get this stuff situated as the tires are just outside the door. We'll check back in with you guys when we got this thing ready to go and that it is loading this tractor up and that skid steer, and then we are off to do some contract bale work.
A few moments later.
Now that, my friends, is a clean looking tractor. Got some Americanized wheels, Americanized decals. You want to talk about a sexy looking tractor? This is it. Giving you guys a quick overview of what has been done to this tractor. We have a brand new front grille. We also put a straight chrome pipe on this thing, gave it a nice little retouch up on paint with brand new tires on the front and rear. Put our brand new decals on the side and removed our trailer hitch, along with put on a brand new linkage. Taking it on its inaugural test drive, you guys can probably tell it does sound different. That is because I did use EY moddings. It's like the AOS, or it's pretty much the same sounds that I used on the John Deere Model A, bringing back that authentic putt-putt two-stroke sound these tractors had. In order to get this tractor loaded up, though, we're going to need to scoot the skid steer forward, and then we'll just kind of sneak it in right on the rear. I bickered back and forth with keeping this tractor as an 850. This was only a prototype tractor that never ever went into production. And to note that the 80 series never did have front wheel assist or the 3-point, but the tractor had that when I originally got it, so I kept them on there, just now optioned them out. At some point, I might actually make that tractor public on my itch.io. I just don't really know yet because it still has a couple issues, and it's not my tractor to begin with. Before I leave, though, I do want to top off my auxiliary tank. That International is getting pretty low, and with this thing having a portable fuel tank in the back, that really does help. No other people on the farm have one, and I'm starting to think we need to start investing in more of them. While waiting for this to fill up, Daryl is on his way down to the field. He's been towing around our bale wrapper that we've been leasing with his truck since we just kind of been running out of vehicles. I did start a little late on the hay season. Our second cutting should be within the next week or so, I'm hoping. But I'll be anxious to see how this 850 looks in the field. Probably will let Daryl be doing it so I can catch the drone shots. I don't know if I'll be able to do it when I'm using the mower, but we'll try and do it when we're at least raking, since that seems like the most logical way we'll be able to catch those shots. Let me know down in the comments though, guys, what is your preferred map that you guys play on? I play on a mixture of maps, this one being Midwest Horizon. I've also played on Green Valley, Nebraska, Tahiti County, Iowa, Middleburg, New York, and Griffin, Indiana. Those are my probably top 5-ish maps that I've probably been on. A lot of those sadly are PC only, but I know there's like Edgewater, Saskatchewan, American Falls, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. The list goes on and on and on. So head down to the comments and let me know. There's the wonderful grass that we got to get cut. We're going to hook this thing up to the mower and get going. This grass is not going to cut itself, nor is this contract going to collect itself. I want some money. All right, I'm greedy. Only thing I really do not like about when I do contract work is that you cannot tell where the edge of the field lines are on these. They don't really do a good job of telling you that. This thing's going to look so good on the mower. Oh, that's right. I got to take it off the International. It's on that right now. The International pulls not the 535 that I bought, but I rented a 435 because it's the only baler that I can technically get that's old that makes the bale size that I need to be able to wrap. You can't wrap the bales that are in the 535. They're just too big. This thing needs fuel, though. That's the first thing and foremost. This tractor's going over to the fuel truck. You watch, I don't even get there and it runs out. That'll be my luck. Nope, it's working. It's working. It's working. It's working! So we'll leave that be to, you know, fill up. At least the bale spear is new, though. I wasn't able to get any counterweights for this thing. That's the only thing I'm worried about. That New Holland at least had some weights that I was able to put on the back of this thing. It might look a little big for this thing, but I can assure you, this tractor gets the job done just fine. Yes! Oh, it sounds so good. I believe this contract is for a gentleman named Michael. I've actually done a few of them for this guy, and he's been paying pretty good money. I can't really complain too much. I think my favorite thing on this tractor, though, has been the change to the sounds. I know that this tractor had kind of the same sound that it was supposed to have in real life, but the John Deere Model A or the AOS that's in the mod hub just has a better sounding putt-putt. And I wanted to take full advantage of that since we did have those resources available. At least on contracts, I do not have to ted the grass and then make hay bales. If I had to make hay bales, this would be a heck of a lot more painful because I'd have to use my tedder. And I don't like using that thing. It's kind of a double process. It stretches out the process by like 4 extra steps. But these ones, you literally just cut it, rake it, bale it, wrap it, sell it. And you could just take the bales that are left over and go and sell those on top of what you've already made from the contract and pocket even more. That'll help us take out that $250,000 debt hole that we've been in, since I don't have any more grain to sell, and we won't have any until fall. For those that might be new to the channel, I have seasonally based content for all of these mainline series. So the old school, homeowners, Nebraska, and the hay farm all only work on a seasonally tracked calendar. Meaning if I plant corn in April real time, I will not harvest it on this channel until fall of this year. I feel like it helps keep the authenticity of the content fresh because you're constantly doing tasks that are based around that particular season, and we can stretch out how long it is in between each episode so you're always interested in what's going to happen next. The only other thing I need to do on this farm is spray the fields with herbicide because I did it all in Nebraska. Nebraska's done, but the old school series did not have any of that worked out. We've already harvested the straw crop, though, on the hay farm, so pretty much it's down to old school and Nebraska for content. I'm going to start going back and forth in loops. We'll cue the mowing time lapse. We'll see you guys back when we're ready to start baling. For the first time in a hot minute, this tractor actually has a full tank of fuel. I did not think I'd be able to run this tractor down as much as I did and keep it that low for really as long as I did. But the 435 should be pretty much straightforward. Everything's already been preset. This tractor's gonna need probably the next spin up. Let me know down in the comments, guys, if we should already just repaint the farm all, because at this point, the only tractor that has not been redone is the farm all. The Ford has new wheels, the 850 has been redone, and the 5020 has been completely overhauled. That really only leaves the 1206. I'd like to get this thing looking nice. I don't know about you. I've thought about buying the bale wrapper that I've been leasing, just because the contract work really has been a nice set of extra income for the farm. I don't have a need to buy the 435 just because I like the 535's bales, so I might just continue to lease that. But Daryl's now on the long rows with the 3600, so I'm going to try and grab this outside row because all he's doing is just making big clumps at the end that I just kind of don't like to run over with the baler. And that'll help with his turnaround time. But once we get all of these bales loaded up, if you guys can see the white building that is sitting directly across the top half of the tractor cab, that is where we have to go sail the bales. So it's really not that far of a drive. We do have to go about a half mile up the road to get to the intersection, but it's pretty straightforward, and we're collecting, I think, about $20,000 on this contract. Any of the money that we get from this deal will definitely be going right into the loan payment to down that interest that we've been fighting for how many years now. One of the smartest things that I did, though, is program the 2 buttons that are on my mouse to be able to make the forward and backwards and dump out the rear, because since we do so much hay work on the old school and the hay farm, it just makes sense that with the round baler I could just quickly hit a shortcut key rather than having to go and hit my keyboard and reach around and try to find all the key bindings. Picking up these big blumps of grass as I go. The only reason that I got this baler was because of this job. So the bale counter reads this thing's had 74 bales go through it between all the contracts we've done. It's a lot of baling. And because I don't have a whole lot of ground, I'm hoping that by doing these contracts with the hay work, and then maybe come fall I do some fall contracts with harvesting, I might be able to break back some of the money that I've been dumping into this farm and really can go forth and start buying more land. Midwest Horizon is a very beautiful map, and I want to start exploring it a bit more, but when you don't have any real estate that you can call your own to start working ground on, it's kind of pointless to say you're going to do any of that. As much as I'd like to go and pick up hay ground, I don't really have a use for it, so I think it'd be honestly better to do what we're doing right now. Just contract out all of the hay work, so that way I can get a maximum profit by selling their stuff, and on top of it, I get to keep the extra. That should be Daryl's last pass. I'm pretty certain of it. Give him a second. Oh, gotta watch where I'm going. Yep, he's done. Nice. International has been doing a fantastic job. It's the only cab tractor that we have on the farm. It really is the Swiss Army knife that gets a lot of work done. The 5020 is really only good for field work anymore. That 850 there though, that tractor is basically the Swiss Army knife of the spring season. It's not used very much in the fall, but I can tell you that that thing's seen its fair share of hours. The 3600 is definitely one that's used more towards the hay season as well. Not as much in the fall besides the auger. But the 1206 looks like that rough biker you see at the bar that has all the tattoos and has seen some stuff, because he's the only one that just, you know, hasn't been redone yet. I'll get the rest of this baled up, then we'll swap over to the bale wrapper. Get a couple of those winded down, and then we'll start loading and taking them in. We'll see you guys a little bit closer towards the end. It's just going to take a minute to get everything situated. Checking back in, we got all the bales done, but I had to run back to the farm with Daryl's truck to get the hitch for the 850. I didn't realize that when I took off the trailer hitch on the back, I can't use the bale wrapper. Because on the 3600, yeah, it works, but it attaches to the drawbar and it sits too low and it drags on the ground. So this is the only tractor that I'm able to use with the bale wrapper.
Quite frankly, don't ever have any trailers that we're ever gonna use that with.
So now that should be fixed. We can be able to wrap the bales correctly and not completely tear up a field like we just did with that. That's what was happening. It was dragging on the ground, and then all we were doing was just tearing up grass. There we go. Now we're not having any problems. But I believe we got well over 50 bales to go wrap before we're going to end up being able to start loading up these giant marshmallows. Somebody called Kraft, the s'more marshmallows are ready for harvest. I gotta say though, I really have loved this 850 since I've redone it. I didn't realize just how off the other version was until I really started messing with it. The front axle's still incorrect because for one, it never had one of these front wheel assists. But even when I look at like say EY Modding's 4020 and how it has the front wheel assist, this is a completely different system than that. I still think it gets the job done all right, but it just kind of looks a little funky because it's off of a Fiat. To give you guys a little bit of an insight on this tractor, when I originally posted in the community tab, I posted that, hey, I'm redoing the tractor, blah, 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 blah. I first of all did the tires. Well, then I'm like, you know what? I think this tractor would look a lot better if we took off all of the older looking decals and we fixed those up. Well, then I changed the tractor to an 820. And then that shifted to, you know, I found out where all of the decals were because this tractor originally came out in 17. So I found the decals, I redid the entirety of those decals, and I changed the motors, I got the things ready. So now this tractor has 4 tractors in one of them. It's the 80, the 820, the 830, and then this 850. Might cover it a little bit more someday, but I also have the factory muffler. I just put on a chrome pipe. I made the chrome smokestack for it just because, you know, well, who wouldn't want a chrome stack on a tractor like this? Hopefully that kind of explains the journey this tractor's been on over the last few days. I've really been working on a lot more mods, which is why I've kind of been a bit more inconsistent lately, so I do apologize for that, guys. But I am going to be getting this field wrapped up, and then we will be getting to that Bobcat here in just a little bit. So let's get you guys in the Bobcat and start loading some bales on the trailer. Finally comes the inaugural test. How does this Bobcat handle these 150 centimeter bales? These things are pretty heavy, so as long as it's able to pick it up and not have any troubles, it's about 1.5 tons heavier than the New Holland, but once again, this thing does not have the rare counterweights like the New Holland did. So while yes, it's heavier, I don't think this thing's very good with the weight distribution. The nice thing is that I can at least get weights for this skid steer at some point. It's not like the New Holland, where the New Holland already had weights on it and was maxing out. That is not good for my current occupation because that means I have to go waste more money, but, you know, if this saves me money in the long run because I don't have to go get the heavier skid steer, then I will definitely take that. It did seem, though, that the New Holland was a little more turf-friendly. Wheels are going to tear up the ground regardless of where you're at. Tracks are definitely the way to go when you're working on a soft surface. Wheeled might be a little bit better on a harder surface because you'll actually have a little bit of give. But so far I'm liking this. I'm staying a lot cooler. It's like 95 degrees out right now. I'll definitely take that over boiling my rear end off inside that New Holland. Golly, this thing just tears up the grass, doesn't it? Well, I'm going to cue a little bit of music. We'll stack a bit of bales on the old trailer. And then once we get this sucker full, we'll take it in.
I drove around all across the land. Thought that I was caught in a one-man band. But playing all those sad and lonely songs. My faith was lost, my hope was gone. My dreams were shattered and I was done. I was roaming down the street in my weary feet, and then you came along with the love so strong. You took me out of the cold into the fire. You picked me up when I'm down on the ground. Whenever I'm low, you were lifting me higher. And when I am lost, you make sure that I'm found. Out of the cold into the fire. Out of the cold into the fire.
With one bale left in this corner, I'll be danged if I'm going to let it just sit here when I know I can fit it on the trailer. The problem is that I know there is one strap on the neck of the trailer, but that's where the bucket is currently strapped to. Don't really want to take that off, so we're going to do a little bit of cats in the cradle. We're going to set it right in between the front bale on the top row and the bucket. And if there's one strap left on the front end, then it should be able to go right up over the top of this thing. Perfect, because that's exactly how this works, right? Yes! Now that's a full load of bales, if you ask me. Jeez, well, all we'll have left is those back bales, so I'm going to get this thing off to the animal dealer quick without hopefully wrecking, and we'll see just how much of the contract we get completed. We also earn the money of the environmental score that these bales will bring at the dealer. Don't mind the fact that these things are like glitching out. It'll resettle itself back in. I just can't undo the straps right now. It looks like it's going crazy, and believe me, it is, but it's not as bad as it looks. Heading back down to the comment section, I got one last question for you guys before we start wrapping up the video, hopefully soon. When you guys transport bales in Farm Sim, what's your preferred method of transportation? Do you use a running gear style of trailer, like the hay rack? Do you use more of a semi-trailer? Or are you a person that, like me, just wants to make everything a nightmare and uses a gooseneck trailer like every other farmer in the small town areas? Unless they're doing small square bales, then they're usually using a hay rack. But hit the comments. You already know the drill. She is on the struggle bus, and the brakes hardly work either. Not surprising. It's a heavy load. Just gotta back in and see what she gives us. Them bad boys unstrapped. Come on. Get them all in one shot. Dang it. Hang on a minute. You're gonna sit there and tell me that I get to keep the bales that's also being sold? Like, I get the contract done, but I get to keep all the bales. Michael, you have to be lying to me. I've had problems with Michael before, but now it's like I'm gonna have to almost cancel the contract because it looks like I'm only selling the bales. Unless he's allowing me to keep said bales, I don't know. As long as I make what I'm supposed to be paid for the contract, I'm fine. Usually you make the contract and a little bit more, but if I at least make the contract with the bales I'm selling, then I'm fine with that. I think I just said the same thing twice. Who cares? You get the point. Down the conga line we go. Only one row this time, but I hope that should be enough to finish this contract out, because if I don't, then we just have to cancel it, because the field's all mowed. You guys see it? You guys see it for yourself. If Michael can't see that this grass is mowed and baled and sold, then he's blind.
A few inches later.
Oh no. Oh no. Michael, I'm so sorry. You have to be more specific, man. Yeah, it ain't gonna matter if we did the contract or not. If you read in the fine print, it says, hey, you're supposed to sell the bales as hay bales. You had to dry the grass. Not silent. Every single baling contract I've done so far has all been you have to just bale the grass and sell it as silage. Never one has been actually doing hay. Well, for $19,000, we made more than the contract and some money on top of. So lose all the payment. Did I get to at least keep the $13,000? Yes, I did get to keep that 23 or whatever it was I made. So it's kind of shisty. We did what he asked. We baled the field, but we did the wrong kind of bales. But I guess that is going to do it for this video, guys. Thank you all so much for checking this one out. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe down below. If you'd like to see my neighbor Michael get hosed over again, be sure to let me know down in the comments and put an F in the chat. I did not realize that because literally I've done probably 3 or 4 contracts now, and every single one of them has all said, cut the grass, bale it, wrap it, and then sell it as silage. Not one of them have I opened up has said to bale it, ted it, and then make hay bales. So now I feel really bad because I could have used my regular baler on that field. But be sure to check out the Boomstick Club for all the up-to-date content for me and the gang. You guys already know who is in it. I shall see you guys on the next one. This is the Rental Man out. Peace.